Good morning, everybody. My name is William Palavis.
And I'm Kathy Freitas. Nice
and today we're representing the New York University Hellenic Heritage Association. First, I want to tell you guys a little bit of our organization, what makes us different. NYU's Hellenic Heritage Association is very unique in that we're located in New York City, which is still the largest concentration of Greeks in America. And as a result, we have very close ties with some of the communities that we come from because we are New York locals, and because of friends, family members that are still in the area that we have connections to. This gives us a better way to help the community just through those connections alone. As we got together as a group and we were trying to figure out how do we want to approach this project, how do we give back to the community best, we decided to focus on the Hellenic values and ideals we thought were most appropriate. We decided to focus on education and the Greek American work ethic because even from classical times, there's a focus on education and knowledge in Greece. The ancient Greeks pioneered drama, medicine, history, math. All of these things were brought to the forefront by them, and today we continue to establish those as we see a lot of Greek people with MDs, JDs, PhDs, and sort of a disproportionate amount considering how many of us there are in America. The Greek American work ethic is also seen with just the individuals in this room. We see how many successful individuals that are now giving back and really helping out. So through this, we decided to help the International Center, which helps immigrant populations, but Kathy's going to tell us a little bit more about that.
So the International Center is located in New York City, and it is exactly what our ancestors never had the opportunity. It is a center that helps immigrants assimilate into society. So it has an 8 to 10 week course that teaches them English. It has values that teaches them how to assimilate into American culture, idioms that no Italian person would totally understand, things like that they can just assimilate better into the culture. So the International Center, unfortunately, is living day by day. Back in April, the New York Times reported how they were about to be closed down because they couldn't pay their rent. In the economic downturn, NGOs are always the ones to suffer because they depend on donor money. They depend on it in such a way, and unfortunately, they did not have this money, had to close their center, and are now relocated at a temporary center. So this temporary center is not a bad thing, but they do need a permanent location. They do need some assistance. So Dr. Alan Keller, who is the director of the Bellevue Hospital Survivors of War and Torture, usually refers his patients to the International Center, and he said that the complete closing of the International Center would lead to a loss for our city and the community. So as of August, they're relocated, and up until December, they are there. And they're now called the New International Center. We want to fund them with 3 different ways to help the International Center become a sustained NGO and continue working. So we have 3 different issues. We have the volunteering aspect, which we're going to talk about. We have the fundraising aspect, and the survey, which Vasily is going to talk about.
So our volunteerism is going to be exemplified through 8 to 10 week cycles in which students from the Hellenic Heritage Association are going to go into these centers and work with language students to develop their English language skills. To track their progress from the onset of the program, students will write essays, and at the conclusion will also turn in another essay. But throughout the duration, they will be maintaining journals which they can express their ideas and just try to increase and expand upon their language skills.
The second part of our project is the fundraising aspect. With our very generous vendor, James Mungo, we've been creating a proposal for the fundraiser to have a cocktail hour with the film screening. Who are we? We're NYU. We're quirky, we love film, we have Tish there with all our little artsy-fartsy people, and the film screening is true to our identity, especially a Greek one. Maria Liu's documentary, The Journey, I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but The Journey, the Greek American dream, documents the Greeks, immigrants throughout culture. So we would have this screened, we would have a cocktail welcome, then we would have this screened, the highlights of the first 45 minutes of the very nitty-gritty, very all the most highlights of the movie, so that all the guests, we would have a 300 guest fundraiser, all the guests would get to know the severity of the situation of an immigrant's life so that they can harken it back to the International Center. And we would have the first 45 minutes, and then after we would have a surprise finale, which we've decided would be a bouzouki player, harkening back to the Greek Gepi, the soul, the spirit, the passion of what a true Greek is, so that they would understand the severity and seriousness of the situation, but leave on a light note. And that's the film, and as I was going to talk about quickly the survey.
The thing we've done to kind of ensure that this project is really successful is we developed a survey through our our mentor at Ally Pro and their subscription to SurveyMonkey.com. Basically, the first part of the survey is going to go directly to the students from HHA that are going to contribute. We want to find out what their conceptions about immigrant assimilation, what they know, what their parents have told them, what they think they need to do to help people, and correct any misperceptions they may have. We're going to give one to the students at the center, who we're going to help and who we're going to educate to find out what do they want to get out of this experience, what do they think it takes to become an American and to grow, and what issues they have. And finally, we're going to survey the fundraisers, the people that come to our screening and who donate money, because if they're going to donate money, we really do need to keep them happy. We need to keep in mind their goals and try to accomplish what they want to see accomplished, so that in the end, they continually come back and support us.
And to conclude, we have the final image of Zorba. If you all know Zorba, he's the true passion of the Greek Gepi, that spirit that even in Greece with the economic downturn that they're facing, we all have that. We all have that passion of the Greek soul that's just on fire. And that's what we want to leave all the people who attend our fundraiser with, the spirit of what the Greek true spirit is, and the Hellenistic values of what most immigrants probably face, that they come to a new country and it's hard. You have to make so many sacrifices, you have to learn so many new things, and if you want to make it, you have to sacrifice a lot. But the Greek spirit knows how to, Greek Americans know how to sacrifice and make it in New York City. So we want to thank you for your time, and that concludes our presentation.
Who do you anticipate underwriting the fundraiser? And is the fundraiser a pitch or a ticket?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the...
Who do you anticipate underwriting the fundraiser? And is a fundraiser a pitch or a ticket fundraiser?
They have to pay to go.
Yeah, so we're going to sell tickets to it ahead of time. We're going to work on the direct pricing as soon as we have the final details of what it really costs. We're estimating that between food, hors d'oeuvres, and the like, it will probably cost around $2,000 or $3,000 to make the event. Since it's going to, we're shooting for an audience around 300 people. The capacity of the room is 400 people, so 300 people is a modest compromise. We'll figure we'll sell tickets around $20 a person, which will give us a pretty good return on our investment.
Depending on when we get more funding and our obviously awesome mentor, who's going to bring a lot of her attendees, we're basing the price between 20 to 50 on how many guests and what other donations we get. So we know that Jane can give us favors. Instead of having to buy the favors, she'll be able to donate the favors, and that would take out from our costs and how the ticket would be priced.
Do you have a budget for the proposal?
Yes, we do. Right now we have it actually written out, but around, including hors d'oeuvres, the space right now is free, so that's a donation because we're students. It would be around $8,000 for the fundraiser. Yeah.
And what would happen next? So you're going to have this fundraiser and make money to support the center.
Right. So,
and then how would that center keep going after that money starts?
For the sustainability of the center, we would. The center honestly has been for the last 50 years it has been working, but hopefully this money would help with their donation to buy a permanent location so that they can stop renting and they don't have to. New York City is ridiculous. It's exorbitant, and hopefully this donation would be able to help that.
Ideally, we really want to help them in the short term, because obviously we're going to help them. We're going to give them a small donation. I mean, with a small budget event, that's the most you can hope for. However, it's also going to raise awareness among a lot of, hopefully we're trying to attract a slightly more affluent, more progressive crowd that will now have the International Center in their hearts and minds, and they'll be able to go back to it. And given the nature of NYU, this is an event that can really be repeated every year. We're using NYU facilities for both the cocktail hour and the screening. We have a very large auditorium that we can use for free as students. And just given the demographic of our Greek club, we've been around since the 70s. We're probably one of the most long-standing Greek Hellenic Heritage Associations in the country, and we have a Hellenic department where you can actually major in Hellenic studies. So that and a very big film community in Greenwich Village, New York City, it's really easy for us to have access to some of the more newer documentaries, some of the cutting-edge stuff going on in film. So we can continually have new films every year, and I mean, we have screenings all the time. A lot of times they're just to raise money for our department, or just to give show people Greek films. So it has a very good long-term potential for sustainability.
Your volunteer component seems like a huge time commitment for the students. How do you expect that to be sustainable?
Well, honestly, it doesn't, because we have so many members, and it's an 8 to 10 week course. So we would start with the spring for the 8 to 10 week course, and it would be 1 to 2 hours per student every week, so that we would each take on a student together, so that we're not all, okay, I have this one student, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there on time. It would be a group effort that we would all during the 8 to 10 weeks, still span it out so that we're not overwhelmed by it.
And additionally, as NYU students, we are constantly involved in the ongoings of the city life. So we're used to a really hectic, busy schedule, volunteering, interning, working, whatever it may be. So this is something that we're very used to and that we're willing to do.
We never sleep. We don't.
We don't, that's true.
Many of our members as well, we actually have to have a lot of people in education because we have the Steinhardt School of Education. So many of our teachers are math education majors, English and education majors. So for them, it's a good opportunity. It's almost like an intern experience to be able to work, one-on-one or with kids or something like that. Also, we have a lot of partner organizations on campus that like to do philanthropy. For instance, NYU Fraternity and Sorority Life, which happens to be the largest, undergraduate club, is required to do philanthropy work to maintain a charter. I happen to be the vice president of philanthropy and service, so I'm a little bit more informed about that. And they're constantly looking for ways to co-sponsorship so they can get that on their resume and look good to the university. So part of ours, we haven't officially blocked that out yet, but we want to reach out to other organizations and get their help because NYU is a very progressive, it prides itself on being liberal and kind of giving back. We're very fortunate to be there and we understand that. So giving back is just an enormous part of life down there.
We have one quick question.
We love it.
Thank you so much.
Next is the University of Illinois, Chicago. Give a hand to the University of Illinois, Chicago.
Hello, my name is Nick Kutavis, and I'm here representing the University of Illinois, Chicago Hellenic Student Association. And our project is to proliferate low-cost and traditional Greek healthcare solutions. Now, before I begin, it's important to know two things about my school. Number one is demographics. More than 1/3 of our students speak English as a second language, so we come from hundreds of different places around the world, both our researchers, faculty, and students. And number two is medicine. We're home to North America's largest medical school, both in terms of number of medical students we train and the amount of research funding that we receive and carry out. So the problem that we have identified is healthcare costs, and more importantly, the excessive increase in healthcare costs that we have seen over the past 2 decades. So what's causing this excessive increase? Well, I'm a finance major, and one thing that I realized in our current healthcare system is we do a really good job at advertising and promoting high-cost, high-profit healthcare solutions. As consumers, you probably see this every day on the TV, radio, or magazine advertisements directly to consumers. And as healthcare providers, you probably see this every day when representatives come to your office to tell you about the latest and greatest, really expensive, and newest healthcare solution. But you have to ask yourself, what if low-cost or traditional solutions exist? And they just tend not to get marketed or advertised. And what if these solutions are being researched by the medical schools at UIC and medical schools around the world? So you might say, well, what's an example of a low-cost or a traditional healthcare solution to better understand what I'm talking about? So let me just play this. Okay, we do not have sound. Let me fix that.
But one nutrition.
So to better understand what a low-cost solution is, let me play this video about a researcher of ours that researched a traditional Greek solution for diabetes. And diabetes is expected to cost the U.S. healthcare system about $178 billion a year.
In most grocery stores, you'll find vinegar in the salad dressing aisle. But one nutritionist hopes to change the way we think about the sour solution.
Hippocrates used it thousands of years ago as medicine.
Carol Johnston is studying the benefits of vinegar. In one study, 3 groups of people, healthy, pre-diabetic, and type 2 diabetics, were tested to see if vinegar would lower their blood glucose levels.
Both the blood glucose and insulin were better managed after the meal when they consumed the vinegar. It appears that the vinegar mimics the effects of both activose and metformin, which are 2 of the commonly prescribed medications for diabetics.
Johnston's vinegar solution was then tested to see.
So here's an example of a low-cost solution that's been researched and found very effective, but unfortunately, this information doesn't get out to either consumers or healthcare providers just because the solution is so low cost and so easily accessible that nobody has the financial interest to proliferate it and to advertise it. So our project was to create a user-friendly platform to database and index all the research that our medical school does on either traditional or low-cost healthcare solutions that, unfortunately, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, they don't get any intellectual property or anything that can be patented, so no one's interested in purchasing it and bringing it out either to healthcare providers or to consumers. So we created a user-friendly platform to database and index these sorts of things. Now, the domain name, ratethecure.com, was donated to us, and through the help of 2 students at the National Association of Black Engineers, we were able to create this website that I'm really excited about. Of course, we have a disclaimer, as you saw there, and you have to click OK to the one on the home page. But the idea is you're presented with an A to Z list of the most common, non-life-threatening ailments. And from there, if you have a low-cost solution as a researcher to one of these ailments, you can go and post it. And here would be a solution, an example of low-cost, non-patentable solutions for acne. And now each one of these links here is a hyperlink where you can go and actually see the research that was done behind it, as well as possibly a YouTube video, an area where you can comment and read other people's testimonials and leave your own, as well as a place where you can rate it. Now, this website's designed to be dynamic, so if you're a researcher and you have a low-cost solution that isn't posted here, as you can see at the bottom, there's a place where you can go ahead and post the information, the research that you've done about it, and we can review it and post it on the site. So, our vision. Well, I grew up with a rich heritage of traditional Greek medicine, and I thought, you know, I was lucky enough to meet a lot of researchers who researched a lot of the traditional medicines and found them to be very effective, and I thought, what if I could pool our knowledge and research that they have done, as well as with hundreds of other researchers from other backgrounds and hopefully other schools as we continue to grow. And I thought together we could give low-cost solutions a platform to compete with those high-cost solutions that are constantly being advertised. And with that, I can now take questions.
Could you touch on the budgetary needs for the project?
Yeah. Pretty much when we first submitted our proposal, we asked for $216, and that was just for hosting costs because we didn't really have to pay for programming because we found computer science majors in the UIC Hellenic Student Association and partnered with a few other people that were interested in our project to create the website, and anyone can go to it right now and see it posted. So we asked for $216, which would be enough to cover our hosting costs for 1 to 2 years.
What's the outreach part of the project to keep it going or keep the site current and exciting?
Yeah, essentially, the big problem that there is a lot of low-cost solutions that are researched by our medical school never get out there either to other healthcare providers or to other consumers, just because if they're traditional and they're low cost and there's nothing there that can be patented, that doesn't get out. So the real outreach is going to researchers that oftentimes tend to be Greek or from another heritage that have researched the traditional solutions or low-cost solutions in general, and saying, hey, here's a platform where you guys can publish your research and share it with other like-minded individuals. And that's the real outreach. And if you think about healthcare costs in the US, it's definitely necessary to educate consumers and healthcare providers of low-cost solutions if you're looking to lower healthcare costs.
Have you gotten some feedback that researchers and others with access to this information are going to be willing to work with you and provide the time to get good information to you?
Yeah, so far we want to post an A to Z list of ailments, but so far we have posted, I believe, A's and B's in terms of the most common non-life-threatening ailments. So we have gotten a lot of feedback, testimonials, and we're hoping to drive more as more people become aware of it.
But how do you convince the researchers at the school hospital to contribute information to this? And have you had that outreach already? And what's been the response?
Yeah, right now we're just in the phase of building the platform and getting a really nice platform up and running for them. But believe it or not, I've spoken with a lot of researchers, and they come out with some really great research, and if it happens to be a low-cost solution, or if their research doesn't result in anything that can be patented, pretty much all their research has been for waste in terms of it going out there to the public. So there is a pretty big demand for people looking for an outlet for low-cost solutions.
Do you have a PR plan for getting your website out to the general public?
Well, that's the thing. I don't really want to get it out to the general public just yet. More, I'm looking for healthcare providers with specialized knowledge in low-cost solutions and researchers, because the key is to get the content really good. So right now the focus is getting the website to the researchers.
So is that a one-year plan, or is that a next year you go public? In which case,
Well,
same question. How do you anticipate making the site?
Here's how it works.
Go look at it.
The platform is there, and it's told to the researchers or the healthcare providers. And from there, they post their research, and a lot of times they ask the people that have done the study and participated in the study to go ahead and post their user feedback and their ratings on the website. So it goes from healthcare providers and researchers to the study groups that they've used, how they feel about it, and from there we're hoping to get it to go a little more viral just by word of mouth.
The vinegar example, the video you shared with us,
Yeah.
what would inhibit that from going on your site now? I mean, that was an example that's...
It is.
It's on the site?
The website's currently up and running. Anyone can go to it, ratetecure.com.
But I mean, the cider vinegar is on your site now?
Yes, that research is on there. Pretty much I just wanted to play that video so people would understand what a low cost and a traditional healthcare solution is, because the ancient Greeks have been using that for the past 3,000 years. And unfortunately, there's a lot of research showing how effective it is, but I guarantee you probably no one here knew about it, just because there's no financial incentive for anyone to take a $2 product anyone could get in the grocery store and bring it in front of you.
Even though the research may not be patentable, there still might be ownership rights vested in the university who's paying the researchers. Have you identified any issues with that or talked to the university?
Well, pretty much how it works is they publish their research, so if they're publishing it, they would just also reference it to their site. Sometimes you have a situation where they can't publish more than like 30% on a third-party site without referring back to it. But pretty much if it's a low-cost solution and there's no patents there, no one has any interest in it because there's no financial in general. So pretty much that's what we found, and we just want to give the platform for other Greek researchers who are very passionate about their traditional solutions, as well as people from hundreds of other nationalities, to share it.
Okay, thank you.
Final team, UVA, University of Virginia.
Hello. Does this one work?
We got it. Go real fast.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is well, thank you all for having us here. My name is Eleftherios Trikansopoulos.
I'm Alexander Zestos.
I'm Anna Carnesi. And I'm Demi Skipper.
And we're at the University of Virginia, Team 1 for Feed Charlottesville. To give a small introduction as to the issues that motivated us and encouraged us to form a proposal. Well, the University of Virginia is located in the city of Charlottesville, which in comparison to other cities in the state of Virginia has a much higher percentage of poverty, as you can tell by this graph right here. One out of 4 families in Charlottesville are recognized as being below the national poverty line. For another reason, they struggle every day to afford the basic expenses. Charlottesville, in comparison to other cities, such as New York City or DC, it's a much smaller city, so for that reason lacks as many organizations to help tackle this problem of poverty and the issue of hunger that comes along with it. So, there's a daily need of about 3,000 meals for this population, while at the same time, the dining halls of the University of Virginia are throwing away a rough estimate of 250 meals each day. So in order to help with this issue, our plan is to collaborate with Campus Kitchen, a student-run organization, in order to help collect and distribute these foods to this population.
Right, 4 years ago, I co-founded Campus Kitchen with a friend of mine. And what Campus Kitchen does is it rescues over 100 pounds of food from the dining halls and repurposes it into 150 to 200 deliverable meals to 3 community organizations. And we're growing every day. So we're expanding to more community organizations and getting more food. We are also going to local restaurants and getting their food, and we're helping out the local farms. There are 52 farms that call Charlottesville home, and we are helping to support them as well. In addition to that, Campus Kitchen also goes and volunteers at the farmers market, helps local farmers in exchange for their produce. And we're hoping to we are going to become a member agency of the food bank for a minimal fee per year to get some of their non-perishable food as well. What Hellenic Society proposes to do is to help out Campus Kitchen during our 2 biggest events of the year, our Thanksgiving event and our spring event that occurs near March Madness, called March Matchness. It's where we compete with other campus kitchens. To give you a little background, Campus Kitchen is part of a national organization, DC Central Kitchen in DC. It's the largest nonprofit in DC. And there are I'm pretty sure about 38 other campus kitchens across the country. And so these national events are really big because we're competing with other campus kitchens to collect food and raise money and things like that. And what Hellenic Society is going to do is to provide the support to Campus Kitchen during that time so that we can sustain our normal operating, our normal cooking and delivering shifts, as well as do really well and help the community during these events. What's different about our proposal is that we aren't creating anything. Hellenic Society is filling in the gaps of volunteering, of fundraising, of providing support, providing advertising, whatever we need. We are filling in those gaps so that Campus Kitchen can continue to be a sustainable and thriving organization. So we're going to do things like go to local Greek restaurants. There are at least 10 I can think of off the top of my head in Charlottesville, Greek-owned restaurants. Go to them, ask them for donations, ask them to advertise in their restaurants, ask them for food. We're also going to go to the local church and ask them for support. They're more than happy to have, they love the Hellenic Society, and they're more than happy to help.
We've already talked to all these restaurants, and they are in, and we've also talked to the church and said that they would keep a box with canned foods and have people donate in the local Sunday schools, donate these kinds of things.
And Hellenic Society would hold canned food drives. We will raise money to help with gas prices for delivering, to help buy things like t-shirts and cups to help advertise, things like that.
So pretty much, it's a really awesome thing that she has helped with Campus Kitchen and the Hellenic Society. So we actually got to sit down with Campus Kitchen, the president, and say, what do you guys need? What gaps do we need to fill in? We're a small organization. Charlottesville is a small city. We can help each other. Our Greek Society is pretty small compared to most of these other larger schools. And so is Campus Kitchen, as it's pretty new. So we're like, how can these 2 small things really help each other? And they said, a lot of the stuff is that they've gotten so many restaurants now that want to get on board, that are learning about it, that they don't have enough transportation for gas and money. Like, people want to help, but they just don't have money. Students don't want to pay out of their own pockets to transport the food, and we can't walk from one destination to the other. And a lot of the places are walkable, and there are kids that get the food there, but we would love the money for transportation and also just the education for people. Because I didn't even know about this until I met Anna, and it's just such a great thing for Charlottesville, and something that we really need with 25% underneath the poverty line, and something that we feel we can actually do. Like, this is feasible for us, that if we can just educate and get transportation costs from you guys, we'll really be able to make a difference.
Okay, and this is something that's painfully personally for me, and I'm sure everyone else. The issue of hunger is of the utmost importance. The reason that many of us are here in America is because there has been a serious hunger issue in Greece over the years, especially during World War I, World War II, and the Greek Civil War. What we hope to achieve with this project is to strengthen the image and perception of Hellenic Society and the Greek community by serving as an example. When people hear the term Greeks give back, I want them to think about the Hellenic Society and Greeks first, and the fraternities and the sororities next. We're providing an important service to a small city such as Charlottesville, Virginia, which only has a small population of about 40,000 people, that currently does not have the resources of a New York or a Boston or a Chicago or a Washington that has large food banks. I personally know many people with a large unemployment who do not have jobs, who do not have the money to provide for their families. So one small meal can serve a world of difference. We're alleviating the hunger for those in need, serving many underserved minorities as well too. Also, we found out that the hungry children in the schools cannot perform well. Providing them with a fresh meal every single day will allow them to be clear-minded and focused and perform well in school and succeed. Lastly, we would like to reinforce the interaction of the Hellenic Society to the University of Virginia and the Charlottesville community as a whole, so we can be active participants in our city and not just university visitors. And we would just like to thank everyone for being here, your time, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So is this, thank you for the presentation. Is this 2 events a year or is this ongoing?
This is so, the Hellenic Society will really help out, we'll push for these 2 events per year, the Turkey Palooza and March Matchness. That's when we'll really push, and that's every year, both ones in the fall, ones in the spring. But we're hoping that exposing Hellenic Society to Campus Kitchen more and more. I know Hellenic Society members are already starting to volunteer on a weekly basis with Campus Kitchen. So yes, those 2 events we will focus on, focus our energy and resources, but it's also opening the door to more volunteers and more support throughout the year.
Do you have a plan going forward after getting, if you were to get this money?
So,
what would you do in future years to sustain yourself?
We actually, when we met with Campus Kitchen and we tried to see how we were going to do this, and as I said, we're both 2 small organizations, so it's going to be steps. It's going to be baby steps that these 2 things in the spring and fall, we're hoping that this will get the word out to educate people, and then as we get more people, we'll be able to just continue this on. And we think that with this fall and the spring, it'll be, I don't want to say easy to do, but it'll be baby steps for both of us as small organizations.
And just to go off of that really quickly, those 2 events really also help get our name out there and get other organizations to donate to us. So this money would go to help really push this year or next year, and then after that, hopefully we'll get more attention.
I mean, on your budget, you have a lot of items listed, but there's no dollar amount.
Yeah.
So is there a dollar amount?
We currently requested approximately $1,000. Yeah. That money is in our specific 5-page PDF proposal. But then again, the money will fluctuate depending on how many times we hold the event and when and where it will be held. Whether we give to canned foods or preparing foods and distributing them as well too. But we requested specifically approximately $1,000 in our proposal.
So since she has co-founded this, she actually knows that, what she was telling me, that it's $100 to even be a member of the food bank. To even be able to get food for these people, to even start, is $100. And people who don't have this money are going to need this, little things that you don't think you
gas
need.
Costs and
even to get
costs
education.
To transport food and things like that.
Yeah, so we just think the main things are going to be, to start, are going to be education and transportation, honestly. And then with that, we will be able to.
So part of what you'll be doing is acting as an umbrella group to bring together other communities?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
part of it?
We just see Charlottesville as a small community, Hellenic Society is a small community, and as well as Campus Kitchen, and we can all really just work together and figure this out to make something awesome.
And we're also hoping that this partnership, because I know other campus kitchens have similar issues with volunteering and getting the word out in the community, and so we're hoping that other Greek organizations on grounds, that we can kind of inspire them to have similar partnerships, because across the country there are campus kitchens, so this could definitely expand.
So you're going to try to track your impact?
Yeah, what's great about this proposal is that the impact is very quantifiable. We track our impact with the number of pounds we rescue, the number of meals we make, and the number of community partners and families that we serve. We serve everyone from little kids and their moms and their dads to elderly people. We serve basically everyone in between. And so it's very easy for us to track our impact that way.
So what's the expected impact of the involvement, the Hellenic involvement here? You already tracked your current? What's the expected?
So the Hellenic Society, as the president of the Hellenic Society, I can start to answer the question. First and foremost, when we recruit members every year at the activities fair, we actually mention the Greeks Give Back proposal to that. So this is one of the main foundations of the Hellenic Society, is to give back, to be involved. We actually make it as a part of our charter to be involved with the Greeks Give Back organization and in cooperation with the Greek Orthodox Church as well too. So all willing members will be involved in this project. All Hellenic Society members will be volunteers, will help cook and prepare the food, and also distribute the food as well and collect canned foods.
They also said in our meeting, they have percentages from last year about how well they did in the fall and how well they did in the spring. And they're hoping that with our help, right now, there's a 25% increase in the amount of like food that they can get, but there's just no transportation for that extra 25% they've gained. So we're hoping with our help, we can really take that 25% and see that percentage increase, that now that we have money, we can get the food that we are now gaining so quickly with all of this education, but we just can't get to that 25%. So we're hoping that we can transport that food that people really need.
Thank you.
Big round of applause for everybody. We'll see if the next generation makes you a difference.
This was very difficult. First, let me just say all 5 of you are winners. While the judges were talking, and actually, Ted, I want to thank you because actually it's not just literally. I mean, you are literally now all 5 winners. But we went back there and we had to keep reminding ourselves that you're only college kids. And what were we like and what would we have done if it had been us up presenting? So you blew us all away with your ideas, your creativity, your poise, your thinking, and made us think back a little bit to our days when we were in college. We want to start in the order you presented, and Leon and Bill gave us some guidelines, but knowingly we suspended those guidelines. So we have 1 winner, but we wanted to give you some constructive feedback. And so we're going to start with Georgetown. We think in the Thurgood Marshall School you've identified a phenomenal need in the community, and we applaud you for that. We think you need a little bit more planning in the execution. We think it's great, and now you've got money to go ahead and go forward and do that. Harvard, we think it's very innovative. There's obviously a big need in the community. We're going to recommend you also pitch it to the law firms because there's a lot of pro bono work that needs to be done out there, and they know that community. You've got some great advisors. You've got access to radio spots. You also now have money to go forward. NYU, you also identified a great need in the Cultural Center. We think you need to work on sustaining it a little bit more. Just one fundraiser is not going to be enough. It's a huge need, especially for a melting pot like New York City. So we applaud you there. We just think it needs to continue. And again, need to do a little bit more in public recognition. And perhaps, as we've all learned, you put some names as you're doing your fundraising with the fundraising so that you go back annually to some of those people and have their names associated with the fundraising. University of Illinois, we think that's a fabulous, exciting idea. We all would like to utilize it. We think it's great. You know, we've all thought of, Yaya's remedies and things that we all grew up with. I intend to call a couple of my friends who have diabetes to talk about the cider vinegar. But we think you also need to be careful, obviously, with the internet is quality control and maybe some peer review. And we also understand that researchers don't get any money for the low-cost one, so we applaud you for that. And then we come to the 5th one, which was UVA, and you're our winner. We think that is something very doable. That you can go out and start on tomorrow, and you also have to work on sustainability and you all graduate and move on. But to all 5 of you, they're fabulous ideas, innovative, exciting for us to see. Most of us are parents and are old enough to be parents, so we're excited to see your generation looking at these great ideas. So thank you and congratulations.